Do you ever wake up and feel nothing? Like the spark in your life has disappeared and you are just going through the motions, disconnected, overwhelmed and empty? Maybe you are stuck in this strange void where nothing excites you, but everything feels too much. I know that feeling all too well because I'm sitting in it right now. And instead of fighting it, I have decided to lean into it. Today, I want to invite you to explore this space with me, not to escape it, but to understand what it's really trying to teach us. For the past few days, I've been consumed by this deep void, a sense of meaninglessness that is heavy and at times frightening. But here is what I've learned. When I feel this way, it's not a signal to push harder or distract myself. It's a sign to slow down, to listen, and to reflect. This void isn't here to punish me, and it's not here to punish you. It's here to guide us. And in this video, I'm sharing how I'm navigating this experience in real time, how I'm learning to sit with this emptiness instead of running from it. Because here's the truth, we've all been taught to avoid these feelings, to see them as bad or wrong. But what if the void isn't the enemy? What if it's a doorway to something deeper, an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves and redefine what truly matters? In this episode, we are going to unpack what this void really is, why it shows up, and how we can turn this sense of emptiness into a space for growth and self-discovery. By the end, I hope you will see the void not as a curse, but as an invitation, a chance to realign with who you truly are. So, what is this void? The void often shows up when you are in a state of disconnection. It's like standing in a fog where nothing feels clear or certain. Sometimes it happens because we've been given too much of ourselves to the world around us, pushing forward, meeting expectations, focusing on the next thing to do or achieve, and forgetting to check in with our own needs, desires, or even emotions. It's like running on autopilot for too long, disconnected from any real sense of purpose or direction. And that's when the void comes in. It's not here to punish us, but to remind us that something inside needs attention, love, or even just acknowledgement. It's a signal that something is missing, a call to pause and listen. Another time the void shows up is during transitions, when we are between chapters in our lives. Maybe you are changing jobs, ending a relationship, or going through a shift in your beliefs. The void appears as that space where you are no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you are becoming. It's an in-between state that feels uncertain, disorienting, and yes, painfully empty. But here is the paradox. That same emptiness holds infinite potential. It's a space for rebirth, growth, and a deeper understanding of who you are becoming. In my experience, the void shows up both when I'm disconnected from myself and when I am navigating big life changes. In both cases, it feels like the ground beneath me is shifting, or worse, disappearing altogether. Why it feels so overwhelming? Understanding this void intellectually can help, but let's be honest, it doesn't take away the heaviness of it. It's still deeply uncomfortable, even frightening, because you are sitting in a space of not knowing what is next, not knowing what action to take, and feeling like every attempt to fix it only makes it worse. When we feel this emptiness, our natural instinct is to resist it. We fight it, avoid it, or try to distract ourselves. We want to fill the space with anything, work, entertainment, busyness, just to make it go away. But here is what I've learned. Resisting the void only makes it stronger. The more I try to fight it, the heavier it feels, and the longer it stays. Instead of running from the void, I am learning to sit with it. And yes, I will admit it, it's uncomfortable at first. It's like sitting in an empty room with nothing to do but listen to your thoughts and feelings. But this act of sitting with the emptiness, as uncomfortable as it is, creates space to hear what's underneath. The void isn't permanent, it stays until we listen and learn. When you allow yourself to sit in stillness, you stop the constant noise of life and the spiraling chatter of your thoughts. You begin to reconnect with what is real, what is actually happening with you, and that's where transformation begins. The emptiness becomes a space where new insights, emotions, and ideas can emerge. Now let's talk about the usual advice: journaling, mindfulness, meditation, or breathing techniques. These tools work for some people, but for me, they often make things worse. When I am in the void, being told to breathe or journal only intensifies my frustration. My chest tightens and I feel even more overwhelmed. Instead of helping, they remind me of how stuck I feel. And I imagine it's the same for some of you. You've heard this advice before, and in the midst of the chaos, it feels useless. You are not broken for feeling this way. What might actually help isn't doing more, but understanding why this is happening in the first place. The void is frustrating because it feels like a paradox. You are already overwhelmed, and then trying to follow advice that sounds simple on the surface, just breathe, just journal, only deepens the sense of being stuck. And then there is the guilt. The guilt of feeling like you are wasting time, like you should be doing something productive instead of sitting with your emptiness. It's like adding weight to an already unbearable load. But the truth is, you can't fix the void with surface-level techniques. It's not something that goes away with a quick solution because it's not here to be fixed, it's here to be understood. And that's what we are going to talk about next. Why this feeling shows up and what it's really trying to tell us. This sense of emptiness, this void, often shows up when something deep within us is out of alignment. It's not just a random feeling, it's a signal. And it's one that many of us face at different points in life, often without fully understanding why. It's uncomfortable, even painful, but it's trying to tell us something. The void often arises when we are in between, when we've outgrown one chapter of our lives but haven't fully embraced the next. It's like being in a hallway between two doors. The door behind you has closed, but the one ahead hasn't opened yet. You are no longer the person you were, but you are not quite sure who you are becoming. This space, this liminal state, feels disorienting, and each time it happens, it's hard. Transitions like this often comes when we are being called to step into something bigger or truer for ourselves. It's as though your inner self is urging you to let go of the old, the beliefs, habits, or even parts of yourself that no longer serve you, to make room for something new. But that process isn't always clear, and the unknown can feel terrifying. The void can also appear when we've become disconnected from what really matters to us. Maybe the thing that once brought you joy no longer feels meaningful. Maybe you've been living on autopilot, pouring yourself into things that don't align with your values. For me, this disconnection feels like being stuck in a system that drains me, working hard, trading my time and knowledge for a paycheck that barely covers my needs. It's running after crumbs, wasting time and energy just to survive with zero fulfillment. I wonder, does that resonate with you? Do you feel like you are not doing what truly matters, like you are giving so much but receiving so little in return? This disconnection can leave us feeling hollow, angry, and deeply unfulfilled. Sometimes the void is a sign of emotional and mental burnout. We push ourselves to meet endless expectations, whether from others or from ourselves, until we reach a point where we just empty out. It's like your system is screaming, enough, stop, rest. And if we don't listen, the void amplifies that message. We are left drained, unable to muster energy for anything, even the things that once mattered to us. And then we become paralyzed, unable to move forward, unable to rest. So why does this feel so awful? The void doesn't just bring emptiness, it brings guilt. You feel like you are wasting time, like you should be doing something more productive, something useful. That guilt becomes a vicious cycle. You feel guilty for not pushing yourself harder, and that guilt only deepens the emptiness. It's like carrying an already heavy load and adding more weight to it. But here is the truth. This feeling isn't a waste of time. It's a message. It's trying to get your attention for a reason. The guilt you are feeling doesn't help you move forward. In fact, it keeps you stuck in a loop of self-judgment. That's why we can't push through feelings like this without stepping back. And stepping back doesn't mean giving up. It means pausing to recalibrate. Rest isn't a waste of time. It's necessary. It's a reset button we all need to press to move into the next chapter. I don't know about you, but when I realize this void is happening because I'm in transition, I start crying because I don't know where I'm going. Everything I do feels pointless. I've tried so many things and nothing seems to work. Soon my job contract will end and the salary I've been living on barely covers my rent and bills as it is. So I feel so much anger toward myself, toward the system, toward the sheer unfairness of it all. It's overwhelming because I'm not in control and I have no idea how to deal with any of it. And let's be honest, the usual advice doesn't help. Breathing techniques, journaling, reading books, talking to friends, they don't give me the practical solutions I need. Instead, they make the void feel even bigger. They remind me of how stuck I am, and that's the most suffocating part. Knowing you are trying, but still feeling like nothing works. This isn't just a lack of purpose, it's bigger than that. The void isn't just about purpose, it's deeper than that. It's the weight of unmet expectations, the frustrations of hopes that haven't materialized, and the suffocating uncertainty of not knowing where to go next. Every plan you've made feels like it's gone nowhere, and the future looks bleak and unclear. The pressure to figure it all out only makes the helplessness worse. This isn't just about changing jobs or chasing dreams, it's about an identity shift. You are realizing that where you were isn't where you want to stay, but the path forward hasn't revealed itself yet. The frustration you feel comes from being caught in this space of not knowing, and every effort to push through only deepens that feeling of not being in control. Here's the real struggle. You are in the process of reinventing yourself, and that's messy. You've outgrown your current self, but you don't yet know who the next version of you will be. And the hard truth is, this void is yours to fill. It's an inner work that only you can do. Nothing external will fix it. No one can fill it for you. For me, that's a hard pill to swallow, but also, oddly, a relief. Because it's mine to do. Then I don't have to wait for anyone or anything to change. I can start within. So what now? When you are in the void, the instinct is to jump to the next solution or try harder to make everything work. But let's pause for a moment and acknowledge the truth of what is happening. You may not know where you are going, and that's okay. This void is part of the in-between, a space where you are being asked to redefine what you truly want. Not just in terms of career or external success, but what you need in a deeper internal level. The confusion, the anger, the fear, it's all part of this process, and it's okay to sit with that discomfort. Right now, an old belief system that has guided your life, one ingrained in your core, is being dismantled. Why? Because you've realized it's not working. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's also a necessary one. This is the messy work of growth, and as difficult as it is also freeing. So it's okay not to have a plan. I know it's terrifying to not have everything figured out. The world constantly tells us that if we are not doing, we are failing. But that's not true. Right now, you need to allow yourself the grace to not know. Give yourself permission to rest, to breathe, and to do nothing for a moment. The pressure to have it all figured out only adds to the weight of everything. So why not release it? Let's agree that for now it's okay to say, I don't know. Now let's talk about guilt. The guilt that arises alongside anger at the system, frustration that nothing is working, and disappointment in yourself. That guilt is valid, but it doesn't define you. Feeling like you've wasted time doesn't mean you failed. It means you are in the middle of something unseen. You are not stuck, you are transitioning. And transition often feels like you are being pulled apart and pieced back together again. Everything you've done so far isn't wrong. It's part of the process of discovering what truly works for you. Don't let guilt convince you that you've wasted time. You've been learning, growing, and evolving, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Action will come, but right now, stop doing. I hear you when you say you've tried everything and nothing has worked. That trying in itself means you are not giving up. But right now, the most important thing isn't to do more. It's to let go of the constant pressure to act. Your mind and body are exhausted from the grind, and sometimes the best thing you can do is step away from the chaos and allow yourself to simply be. This space you are in isn't a dead end. It might feel like a dark hole, but in that darkness something is growing. The answer will come when you give yourself the space to be still. Trust that you will find your way out even if you don't have the solution today. Now I know what you might be thinking. Who has the luxury to step back and not do anything? The bills wouldn't pay themselves, the food wouldn't appear on the table, and life demands action. I hear you, and I feel the same. At 40 or whatever age you are at, it feels unbearable to not be where you thought you would be, and the pressure of survival makes it all feel even more urgent. It's not just an existential crisis. It's real practical survival stress on top of emotional and mental struggle. And in that state, it's easy to feel like there is no room for self-reflection. The weight of your circumstances makes it nearly impossible to think clearly or make decisions, and every failed attempt just adds to the frustration. Here's what I need you to hear. You are not failing. The system is broken. You are up against an economy that undervalues skills and knowledge, one that pushes people to work harder for less and less. It's dehumanizing, and it's easy to internalize that frustration as a personal failing. But it's not about you. You are doing the best you can in a system that isn't designed to meet your needs, and that matters. So, what can you do right now? Let's break it down into small, actionable steps that meet both the reality of your circumstances and the emotional weight you are carrying. 1. Survival first, emotional clarity second. Focus on survival. Can you take one practical action today that eases the pressure? Maybe it's sending out one more resume, exploring a temporary side gig, or revising your budget to reduce stressors. These small steps may not feel like much, but they are progress, and they remind you that you still have agency. 2. Interrupt the limiting beliefs. When the thought creeps in, I'm not enough, or I should be further along, pause. Counter it with a gentle truth. This is tough, but I'm doing my best. Over time, these interruptions help shift the deep-rooted patterns that keep you stuck in self-blame. 3. Release the pressure of perfection. Let go of the need for grand solutions or perfect answers. Survival is enough right now. Focus on what's manageable today without the weight of solving your entire future in one go. 4. Connect for practical support. If possible, find someone who can help with the financial or practical stress. A mentor, a coach, or even a community resource can help you make sense of the chaos. Sometimes having a plan, even a small one, makes a world of difference. 5. Trust the process, even if it feels impossible. Growth is messy. Reinvention doesn't follow a straight line. This void is yours to fill, but not in one day or with one answer. Trust that clarity will come, not through force, but through patience and compassion for yourself. This process of transition, of navigating the void, isn't easy, but it's necessary. It's a sign that you are growing, even when it feels like you are stuck. You are not failing, you are transforming. And that transformation takes time, rest, and faith in your ability to move forward, one small step at a time. You are already doing so much by simply surviving, so give yourself credit for that. The rest will come. So, you are not defined by your current circumstances. It is so easy to forget this when everything feels impossible. But your value isn't defined by your paycheck or your current financial struggles. It's not defined by the shoulds that society, your family, or even your own inner voice impose on you. You are more than your job, your income, or the obstacles you are facing right now. You have skills, experience, resilience, and these are worth so much more than the number in your bank account. You are not stuck, you are in a transition. And while it's messy, while it feels impossible, this moment is not forever. The frustration, the self-criticism, the anger, it's all valid, but it's not the end of your story. The next chapter will come. But for now, give yourself the space to breathe, to exist in this in-between without judgment. You are doing the best you can, and even if it doesn't feel like it, that's enough. If this video resonated with you, I want to invite you to continue this journey with me. Check out this next video where I explain why bad things might keep happening and how to shift that perspective. Thank you for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Much love.